Hello and welcome once again to DDM Politics. You are on Diaspora Digital Media, and my name is Ron Palm Jr. Um, Lately, Nigeria has come to be known as the headquarters of poverty, and almost internationally, Nigeria, no matter how innocent you are, the rate at which pastors and clergy and spiritual fathers are checked in the airport speaks volumes to that. Has this been with us all this while? Nigeria's corruption. Who is responsible? Well, I'll not be doing the talking alone. My guest is Mr. Uche Martins, joining us from the US. Mr. Martins, you're welcome to DDM.
Thank you, Prince Rampan. It's a pleasure being with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. What is corruption?
Well, if we want to go the academic way, I believe the Oxford Dictionary describes corruption as, or rather defines corruption as a dishonest and fraudulent conduct by people in power. I don't totally agree with them, because corruption is not only perpetrated by people in power, it is perpetrated by the leaders and the led, who in a way, in their own ways, different ways, encourage corruption and participate in corruption. So corruption has 2 or 3 different dimensions. It has a physical dimension, the spiritual dimension, and the cultural dimension. And I think what has really eaten deep into Nigerians is the cultural aspect of corruption, which has been put deep into the society, that they now see it as part of a way of life. I think that's all I have to say for now.
Is Nigeria corrupt, Mr. Martins?
Nigeria as a country, I don't think Nigeria as a country is corrupt, but Nigerians are corrupt. And I know a lot of listeners will say, oh, not every Nigerian is corrupt. And I'm going to ask them, look, count in your fingers and tell me how many Nigerians are not corrupt. They tell you, oh, there are many. Then I'll start counting, maybe you get to 15,000. And 15,000 out of 250 million people is nothing. So if corruption needs to be looked into critically in that country, it has to be looked into deeply beyond the numbers. So corruption in Nigeria is instituted in the leaders and in those who they lead. Because the way I see it, the only corrupt Nigerian, I think I have an adage for it, I would say it now before I forget, that the difference between a corrupt Nigerian and the other Nigerian is opportunity. When the other Nigerian gets the opportunity, he becomes a corrupt Nigerian. And why is that? Because the Nigerian system is run out of no accountability, no transparency, no checks and balances. And then when you go in to check and balance them, they get angry. So there's no way you can change that system without having these 4 elements in play.
That is interesting. Going by history, our ancestors, Africans, are very popular with Ubuntu. There's unity, there is concession. And whether you look at the Oduduwa Kingdom, the old Oyo Empire, whether you come to look at the setup within the southeastern region, and even going by books written by really well-renowned authors like Chinua Achebe, it gives you a picture of a culture that is it is built around honesty, transparency, and love for one another. And without going to school, our parents ruled, in all honesty, and we didn't have issues of corruption to this level. Whenever it came up, they summoned the gods, or somehow they have a way to go around it. It wasn't this endemic. Where did we go wrong? Why is it that this is what we're facing now?
I think corruption became endemic in Nigeria when Nigerians lost their moral compass. I can go back to the days of my own father, where they have this adage that good morals is better than wealth, that your name, a good name is better than money.
Mm.
You will do everything possible in the olden days Nigeria to defend your family name, not to drag it in the mud because you want to get some money. But now
Mm.
it's the opposite. Nigerians today believe that money is the root and cure of every problem that they have. Even if the money is ill-gotten, nobody wants to know. At the end of the day, you find out that every Nigerian wants to become rich, super rich overnight, because that is the only way they feel they can get respect in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that? You go back, you talked about, I believe it's the Oyo Messi. I'm not very good with history.
Yeah.
When the Obas will err, some group of chiefs will bring them a calabash to drink from it and die.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes in China. In China today, if you are found corrupt, the only way you can show the society that you are repentant is to go and kill yourself. You commit suicide. But
Mm.
today in Nigeria, what do we do? A 13-year-old boy comes in with a Rolls Royce, the traditional chief, that nobody asks any question. They give him multiple chieftaincy title. He gets all the police protection. All the politicians run to him to get money to further their campaign. That is where we got it wrong. It started a long time ago. I think if you ask me when it started with the Civil War. After the Civil War, the main corruption started. Everything they did at that point in time was based on nepotism, on who you know, what you not what you can do for your country, but what you can take from your country. And it
Mm-hmm.
progressively went back. And it comes down to accountability. When nobody is held accountable for anything, I tell people, even in foreign countries, in international communities, if anybody knows they can do anything and get away with it, they will do it. So it is a sad situation that Nigeria today, nobody is held accountable. The president is not held accountable. The senators are not held accountable. The ruled and the rulers, nobody is held accountable for that, anything that is going on in that country. And that is where the problem started. But if you ask me where Nigeria really got it very wrong, and I know most Nigerians don't want to go there because of they feel, oh, you are respecting this personality or that personality. I'll tell you, Nigeria really started going down the drain very fast from Babangida's administration. When Babangida canceled 3 elections that Nigerians, most noble Nigerians, as at that time tried to engage in, folks who had a little bit of integrity
Mm.
participated in those elections, and he canceled it. Professors, doctors, the lawyers, engineers. When he canceled that election and started a fourth election, what happened? The thugs, the thieves, and all the corrupt folks who were not part of the 3 other elections came in and won. And why did the other professionals leave? Because they ran out of money. You cannot make somebody run 3 elections and then you cancel it and expect them to keep their source of wealth, unless they're going to go bankrupt. And
Mm.
the politics in Nigeria today hasn't matured to the point that it is the citizens that are beginning to sponsor politicians. And when they get to that point, then they'll be able to at least minimize corruption in that country. But as far as Nigeria is concerned today, it's going to be a huge task to get them out of corruption.
Hmm. Well, yes. Having said that, now who takes the real blame for corruption going on? Because most of the case you have just exemplified is high profile, top government functionaries, politicians, and I would have asked for examples, but that aside, those corrupt politicians cannot succeed without the connivance of the messenger in the office, the director of finance, who is not a politician, is a career person. So who is really to blame? The
I think
followers?
the whole of Nigeria, all Nigerians are to blame for the corruption in Nigeria. There's no exception, because there are different categories of corruption. We look at, corruption is only when somebody embezzles 2 million naira or 10 million naira or 100 million naira. No, corruption can be when you take 10 naira, 20 naira from the piggy bank or the extra money that we are giving to run the stationaries of your office. So if you ask me who is responsible, everybody in Nigeria is responsible for corruption. But how do we solve that problem? The only
Yes.
way Nigeria can actually start tackling this problem is if, for some reason, we get a bold leader who has decided to say, yes, now is the end of corruption. We are going to take the bull by the horn and get rid of this thing once and for all. Because everybody in Nigeria really knows what corruption is. Everybody in Nigeria knows what the right thing to do is. But nobody wants to do the right thing because it benefits them personally. It's like the Nigerian constitution. Politicians, presidential candidates, they come up and, once I get to Aso Rock, I am going to change everything. No, they will not do it. As soon as they get to Aso Rock and find out that the Nigerian presidency is the most powerful presidency in the world, quote me, they don't want to change it anymore because now they have the almighty power to go after their enemies, to break houses that folks have built for years, destroy properties that worth billions of naira, thinking they are destroying individual wealth. No, you are destroying the economy of your country. Where I would have taken an exception is this, that as you are destroying those properties, you are putting everyone who is responsible for not doing their job to make sure that those properties were not built in the first place in prison. Then I'll say, yes, now you have woken up. But you don't just go into a society and start destroying properties. That's just vendetta. That's what it is. That's what I see as it. But corruption needs someone who has the tenacity, who has the willpower, and who is fearless, who is ready to sacrifice his or her life to say, this has to be done once and for all. And this corruption we're talking about, it goes all over the place. It's in politics, it's in religion, it's in traditional systems, it's all over. Nobody is giving chieftaincy title these days on merit. You are giving chieftaincy you're giving chieftaincy titles these days based on how much money you have given to the traditional ruler. So where do you go from there? I don't want to say that it is a useless situation, because nothing is really useless until the society decides that, yes, okay, we have all given up, we can't do it anymore. That's it. But if there is a will from some angles and they are ready to push for it and continue to ask questions, that brings me to the point of addressing Nigerians now, not the leaders. Ask your leaders questions. Nigerians don't ask questions. Probably it's in our culture. I think it is in our culture, because here is a young child growing up. He looks up to his father and asks a simple question. They look at him and say, "Oh no, you cannot ask such a question. Who are you? You are still a child. You can't ask questions." No, that's not right. In societies where you want to develop, you got to learn to ask questions. And Nigerians will need to start asking their leaders questions, not the other way around. Or when the election time comes, what do? The politicians come to beg you for your votes. Then after the election, you turn around and start begging the politicians to come do the job you voted them in to do. That doesn't sound good to me.
Well, having said that, Martins, Nigerians maybe want to ask questions. Some are bold enough, but they are too hungry to ask questions. Has the weaponization of poverty reached that level? Because obviously, if I'm hungry, I'll stammer, and I would want to eat or drink water first before I can tell you anything about myself, let alone confront you. How do we navigate through this?
Uh, well, I don't think hunger is a reason why people shouldn't ask questions. Whether you are hungry or not, you can still ask yourself questions. But the thing there is when you dwell in self-deceit, that you know the right thing to do, but you don't want to do it. That is where you have a lot of problems. The NLC is calling out a strike for, I don't know, and I saw on our rise the other, was it yesterday, a group of young folks coming out to say they support the president and they don't want anybody to do strikes. They want uh, uh, the NLC to call off the strike. The police should arrest the NLC. I said, okay, if I were a journalist in that crowd, what I'm going to do is call one or two of them and ask them, what do you do for a living? And I bet you 50% of those present in that rally don't have a job. And more than, if not all of them, we are paid to come to that rally. So, no, tell me, how do you fight corruption in such a system? It's almost impossible because even the impoverished himself tends to buy into the corruption because they want to eat guguru and ekpa.
Is there any country that has taken bold steps like the ones you are enumerating to stamp out corruption? Because some countries are doing fairly well, maybe not completely, but at least corruption brought down to a minimum.
You can take your closest neighbor, Rwanda, is doing excellently well. And why is that? Because Paul Kagame is not corrupt. It's as simple as that. Paul Kagame lives within the means of his country. Paul Kagame does not own a Rolls Royce. Paul Kagame does not have a yacht. Look at the wristwatch he wears. I think it's an Apple Watch. That's what he wears in his hand. He doesn't wear, what do they call it again? $350,000, $350,000 wristwatch to come tell people, Nigerians, to, oh, I'm sorry, you guys have to be patient. Like I saw in one video. Somebody walk, no. How can you wear a Richard Mille wristwatch to come tell someone who has not eaten to be patient? And you are from that same country. It is very, very sad. I don't just know how they are going to get it right, but it takes leadership. And that leadership I don't see right now in any facets in Nigerian politics.
Well, the government recently, have appointed people to man the EFCC, the ICPC, and all whatnot, and also are trying to make steps to like get people to have some food, handouts and stuff. Will that not help in solving the problem?
I don't think so. To be honest with you, most of the policies they are doing right now is what I call cut and nail policies. They're not going to solve any problem. The problem Nigeria is at this moment, I don't know whether this is the right time to go into the solutions. It's simple. And it boils down to the same first items that I talked about, asking of questions. Who are the beneficiaries of the petroleum subsidy? Who are the Nigerians who own oil wells and becoming billionaires on the back of Nigerians? Who are the billionaires? Who are the Nigerians who are monopolies? They have the single license to import things into Nigeria alone. And I tell anybody, give me the monopoly of importing a simple thing like toothpick into Nigeria. The next morning I become a billionaire. Then not to talk of the crude oil that is being stolen. And they know who are those doing it. The thing the government should do if it's serious about stopping this downward spiral of Nigeria is to call these folks together. Okay, I know we don't want to bankrupt you because you say are doing some good in the society with the money you stole. Give us back only 50% of it. Just 50%. And we are not only one who did it. You're not reinventing the wheel. Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia did it to his brothers and sisters, who are the princes and princesses of Saudi Arabia. Took them to the best hotel in Saudi, locked them up there, said, I need our money back. And they gave him the money.
Mm.
If you doubt me, Google it, is out there. And one problem with Nigerian corruption is that it gradually got worse because nobody was held accountable. At a point, they were inflating contracts by 1%. At a point, nothing happened to the guys who did them. The next administration came, went into 10%. Now they are inflating contracts to 50%. They build railways for you, nobody knows how much the railway costs. They build roads for you, you don't know how much the road costs. The only thing we know how to do is through very good parties. And then you look at the parties that they throw in Lagos. I said, look, the hall is very well decorated. The food is nice. Everything, it looks good. I said, okay, in my mind, I'm thinking, why can't they transplant this organizational structure that they have in throwing this party into their environment? To clean up the environment, the whole city stinks, the whole city is filled up with trash. And then they do the same cut and nail policy. You come to under the bridge one day, you scream and shout, you break bottles and you break tables and all. At the end of the day, you go home. They wait for you for 1 month. Nobody is under the bridge. They start coming back one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Then before you know it again, under the bridge is filled up with traders. But let me just address the president, if he can listen to me.
Go
Get
ahead.
these industries magnates who have benefited too much from Nigeria to give back 50% of their wealth back to Nigeria. I promise you the Naira will appreciate by 50% the next day.
Mm.
But are they going to do it? I don't think so.
Mm.
And the president promised Nigerians, oh, when he comes in, he's going to either put them in the military, he's going to create 50 million jobs instantly. What are they going to eat? They're going to eat agbado, they're going to eat corn, they'll eat cassava. That's what he promised them.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, it takes less than 3 months for agbado to mature. So why has he not planted agbado? If he has used the money he used in buying SUVs for the senators, the money he gave to the judiciary, the money 2 million he gave to the states, with specific time, I want you to grow thousands and thousands of hectares of corn. In 3 months, he would have fulfilled one of his promise of feeding Nigerians with corn.
Mm.
But he's not doing that because I don't think he has the interest of Nigeria at heart. No matter how much he wants to pretend, he doesn't. If he has the interest of Nigerians at heart, the first thing to do when they brought that yacht story to his table is send that yacht away. Another president, I can't remember the country now, did it. When they came to him, they wanted to buy vehicles and all. He asked them, the previous president, which vehicles did he use? They say they are dead or they are old. Do they have tires? They say yes. They have a steering? They say yes. Keep those vehicles, we're not buying any new ones. That is how to show your people that they can tighten their belt, suffer for a short period of time, and the economy will get better. But for those who tell the present government, oh, it's just 8 months old, it's just 9 months old, the same thing they told Buhari. Each successive government blames the next one. So where are you going to end it? The same folks who are saying, oh, Buhari, Tinubu, it's only 8 months, it's only 1 year. The same folks will come back when he's finished his term to blame him for the catastrophe of Nigeria.
So,
The
Mr.
Senate,
Martin,
yes, please.
what is the solution? Is there hope for Nigeria?
Yeah, there is hope. There is hope because hope is something that you really have to build up. You don't just wish hope and hope that hope will happen. No, hope will not happen unless you work towards achieving the objectives you have set with that hope. Let the leaders of Nigeria come to reality and say, look, no, I'm not saying forever, for a period of probably 2 or 3 years, no more importation of luxury goods into Nigeria. If we are going to import anything, it has to be something that is going to be used to sustain the society. That way, you cut down on the pressure on the dollar. And then get Nigerians to work. If by now, I don't know, maybe we don't really study history, and these days you don't really need to be a historian. Go to YouTube and see what who was that again? The leader Napoleon did in France when he built that canal. They didn't use sophisticated weapons. They used axe, hoes, and shovels. That's what they used to build it. But he got over 10,000 people working on that program at the same time. You go to Egypt, the second Suez Canal, it took the Brits about 10 years to build the first one. Morsi came and said, no, we're going to build the second one to decongest the other canal. They brought him a contract proposal of duration of 2 years. He says, no, I want this thing built in 1 year. If you're going to employ 1,000 people, employ 2,000 people. If you're going to employ 1 people to build it, employ 2 million people. And they got it done in 1 year. So there are examples abound all over the world. The only thing there, do we have the political will to get it done? The political will is not there.
It's a pity.
Because like one presidential candidate told them during the last election, Nigeria is a consuming nation. Nigeria is not a production nation. Nobody produces anything. Africa is the only continent that has all the arable lands in the world. They have the greatest number of fresh water in the world, yet their folks don't have water to drink. Their folks don't have food to eat. How can that be possible when you have forests and bushes all over the place? Everybody depends on crude oil because that is the easiest thing to steal. And don't get me wrong, the last administration, the senators were there, Nigerian journalists were there when they showed us the pyramid of rice. So where is that rice today? Oh God. You know, self-deceit is the worst form of deceit in this world. You should learn not to deceive yourself. Because when you start, you can deceive others, so don't get me wrong. But the day you start deceiving yourself, then you know you are done. And Nigeria is at that stage. And then I go to Lagos because I need to mention this to Nigerians to start knowing.
Okay.
Why do you build a rice mill when you have no rice to mill? It doesn't make any sense. But everybody was there. All the traditional rulers, they were all there to open the rice mill. Nobody asked the question, which rice is this mill going to mill? Okay, we don't have enough rice. I go back to another example. India did it. It's on the web. Google it. How in India solved their hunger in 1 year. They got experts from overseas. Yes, they did. But they embarked on a systematic production of rice that in 1 year, they had so much rice in India that they had to send their students back home so that they can store rice in classrooms before they started building storage and processing factories. But in my dear country, Nigeria, what do? We always do everything the other way around. You will buy SUV before you tar the road. You build rice mill before you get the rice to mill. It doesn't make any sense. And don't get me wrong, these guys know what to do. They just don't want to do it. You tar a 5-kilometer road and you gather the whole chiefs to commission a 5-kilometer road. No. When Hitler built the Autobahn, almost 32 lanes of freeway, he didn't call anybody to commission it. Yeah, that's your road. Go there and use it. That's it. In the city that I live in, if you see the amount of bridges they build every day, the amount of roads they build every day, the mayor has not come out to call every body in Dallas to say, oh, come and commission road. So that is the problem.
On a final note, Mr. Martins, before we have your final thoughts, the media is known to be the watchdog of the society, the voice of the voiceless. They're supposed to see what is going on and speak about it. From your assessment, in your opinion, as a media within Nigeria, mainstream and otherwise, contributed more to the corruption or less to the corruption in the country?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because most of them do not report what they are supposed to report, and I'll give you an example. Um, some of the media outlets sit in their air-conditioned offices, and then these governors, senators come to be interviewed. And then they're asking them questions like, we heard that you have not tarred any road. The road from Abakaleke to so and so place is still bad. Then the guy turns around and tells them, you have not done your job. Why are you asking me that kind of stupid question? And now they look stupid. But what do? You show them a video of the road, first of all. We were there yesterday. This is the condition of this road. What do you do about it? And then I believe they say they have freedom of information, that you can ask for information and find out how much does this contract cost in Nigeria. You tar a small road, they dig a small borehole, they put in millions of dollars in it. I lived in Lagos for some time, and the road to my place, I was so frustrated that I had to go to the local government. Someone called me aside and said that that road is being tarred every year on paper, but nothing happened. So the only excuse I can give for the Nigerian media is this, that when they eventually sum up the courage to tell the truth, they become victims of violence. So that is the only excuse I have for them. If only Nigeria has free press, let them do their job. If you don't like the way they presented the news, you have the judiciary sue them. You say you claim to have tarred a 5-kilometer road for 10 million naira, and the press is saying you tarred it for 200 million naira. Come to court, show the evidence that you tarred it for 10 million and not for 200. But instead, I don't know. There are so many stories to tell about corruption in that country. The press needs to start telling those stories. And when even they tell those stories, or when those stories are told in their press rooms, they don't even follow up. Like there was a video clip on our red that I saw where Dino Melaya was claiming that Wike is saying that he's not fit to be governor of Kogi State. But during his first run as to be governor of Kogi State, Wike gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was expecting the interviewer to say, where did Wike get that money that he gave to you? And Wike gave him his private jet to carry him all over the place. Nobody asked such questions.
Maybe it's the government salary.
Nobody will ask, Wike, how much money did you have 15 years ago that now you are able to buy a private jet? You can afford to give someone hundreds of thousands of dollars. Where did you get the money from? Is it the money from your state that you are giving an individual to go run for government, or what? That is that accountability that I'm talking about. So the press needs to do more investigative journalism and report it the way it is. And then at the end of the day, tell the whole Nigerians when you are reporting it, if I die tomorrow, know that the one who I'm reading this news to are the ones that killed me.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Martins. Any final comments in a minute?
I still have hope, because hope is always a living thing, that Nigeria can make it. But Nigerians should stop doing money politics, especially the lead. That selfishness that, I'm a delegate, I have to go and collect my own share. Forgetting that the person you are going to put in there is the one that controls the money, that is going to go in there and take 1 million times whatever he gave you as a delegate. And yet you have nothing in your community. They should demand that their representatives come back home every month to talk to them and find out what they need. If that is the only thing they do for you, then you have gotten them. But as soon as you elect them, they go to their political headquarters and sit there until the next 4 years. They come back, give some political heads in the village some amount of money, and then they hope that the money trickles down to the less privileged.
Hmm.
Well, we all have our own consciences. Someday, maybe we'll get somebody who will look into Nigeria and say, this is the time to stop. They did it in Kigali. I'm sure they can do it in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much, Mr. Uche Martins, for this expose. It's a very sad one to actually know that okay, we are Nigerians and this is what Nigeria is. And that is just the truth. Maybe one day we will have someone with the willpower or some group with the willpower to actually implement the suggestions you have made. In the meantime, Nigeria is the only country we have. And thank you very much for having time to be with us, sir.
And thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It is a responsibility of all to do that which is right. People say that a good that belongs to everybody dies of hunger. Simply means if there's something to be done and everybody is waiting for somebody else to do it, nothing will be done at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, everybody loses. The fight against corruption is not that is done by one person, because there are more people, more of us involved in it, quote and unquote. The political corruption is not possible without the connivance of civil servants. And when we go to cover up the houses of our political elites or anyone who has the millions and ask them daily and beg them, will remain perpetually as beggars. We have not asked for the source of these monies, and we are just eating whatever and wherever it has come from. Then we are also part of the problem. If you are supposed to be a road traffic officer, do it well. If you fail to do that, it is corruption. If you're supposed to buy drugs and you buy expired ones, it is corruption. If you collect 20 naira from people moving on Okada and taxi drivers, that is corruption. So who is responsible for the corruption in Nigeria? Search yourself, I'll search myself, and let's do the needful. On behalf of the entire team, this is Rampam Jr. from Diaspora Digital Media Politics Today saying, do have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.